That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 84. I am one half of your host, Dave Brown. It is Sunday, February 19th, 2017. I'm joined with, as always, by Floyd Johnson Jr. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well. We had a very significant week in the WWE as far as the build-up to WrestleMania. So we had some shocking moments this week. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, apparently we did. I wouldn't know anything about it because after an amazing Elimination Chamber, which you can hear our review at youtube.com/AroundTheRingOK, click the subscribe button and give some of those videos some thumbs up. Coming out of Elimination Chamber, I was in a great mood for wrestling. I was like, man, this is awesome. I turn on Monday Night Raw. I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be fun. And then that opening segment. So Roman Reigns comes out doing his whole I'm Roman, I'm a badass thing. And then the tag team champions come out. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Roman Reigns is going to make them look like bitches. I'm out. Fuck it. I'm done. And I tried watching it later on. I was like, I'm just going to fast forward through this part. And I was like, oh, hey, Bo Dallas is on TV. I love Bo Dallas. Within a couple minutes, I was like, fuck it. I'm done. And I tried watching SmackDown, and I saw Bray's entrance at the beginning of SmackDown and the ovation, and then I had to go to bed, and it just never happened. It was a busy week. So yeah, it was that one moment. The tag champs, the club comes out, and I'm like, Gallows and Anderson they've got the straps. Maybe they're going to be treated with some respect. And I was like, they're going to be made to look like bitches to Roman Reigns. Screw you, Vince McMahon. I am out for the week. And so that's all I got for WWE for this week. Floyd, tell us what happened.
All right. So I guess I was fortunate because I had to do a favor for a friend. So I missed the first hour of Raw. So I watched the second and third hour, and then I had to come back and watch the first hour the next day. So it honestly didn't bother me. It didn't put me out of the mood to watch wrestling. They are some notes from Raw, of course. Stephanie is doing a better job of just not neutering the talent. You know what I'm saying? Just like she usually goes over and destroys them. She was kind of even with Roman, and then she set up the Gallows and Anderson match. Personally, didn't have that big a problem with the match because they didn't need the pinfall. It did make Roman look strong, of course, against the tag team champions, but it's some things at some point, it's like, I watch Raw. Raw is a product of Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. likes Roman Reigns. I'm starting to become numb to it. I'm not starting to like Roman Reigns in any way. I'm just starting to really just become numb to it and start, I hold my breath to get past that part, and then went on to have a really, really significant show. I don't know how good it was, but it was a significant show.
Let me ask you a real quick question, since this is the only part I really saw. I know making Roman strong is an important thing to Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon has a gigantic boner for this guy. But at the expense of your tag champs who you've already made look like pieces of garbage since they pretty much first burst on the scene. Because Carl Anderson, maybe not Luke Gallows, maybe if Luke Gallows just went out there and was like, I'm going to challenge you because I'm a big man too. If Luke Gallows had been made to look like a bitch, I'd be like, meh, whatever, because he's nothing special. I'm sure he's a nice dude, but he's nothing special in the ring. He's okay on the mic. Carl Anderson, on the other hand, is really, really good. And I really hate seeing him get screwed over in this way. And the crowds hate Roman Reigns. We beat this like a dead horse. And yeah, I'm glad at least Stephanie did not go on full-blown castrate anyone in this opening segment, but she really can't castrate Roman Reigns because her dad has his dick in his mouth all the time. So she can't really cut it off without making her dad unhappy. So that's not going to work. And, it does suck, because after looking at the stories, I was like, oh, it looks like I actually missed a fun show. Oh, well. But continue, sorry. I just had to get that out there.
Oh, it's no problem. I say that, I agree with you. It is. It's annoying. It's when you have a lot of talent in the ring. As far as the tag team, they're very much a classic tag team. When you have the type of information, you definitely want to, or type of characters, you definitely want to get them over. But I don't think they had much plans for them on TV that week. So they're in the first spot with Roman Reigns. You got Anderson and Gallows, who unfortunately are known more in Japan than America. So you're just trying to get them out there, and it's just, they could be setting up them as a role of henchmen for Stephanie McMahon, who gets, sent out to beat up people, and they're the WWE champions. It's like, for future stories, I could see where they were going. It's just, you kind of had to eat that crap to maybe get to something good later.
I hope. I hope so.
It may not be. It may not be. It may just be like, let's make Roman look strong. But I wouldn't mind seeing Roman in a squash match, just against a jobber, and just win, get all his moves off, and look good. Because you don't get that many matches with Roman Reigns. Superstars isn't around anymore, so I just like to see him just get his moves in. And I think that would make him look just as good as squashing the tag team champions. I mean, to me, they would end on a similar note. It's like, it seems like you only can have these heel characters again in squash matches. You can have a good guy in a squash match and it'll be okay. Just kind of highlight Roman Reigns, him have somewhat of an easy night. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird in that case.
No, I would be completely okay with them bringing in more squash matches, because the benefit of the squash match is it helps get people's moves over, and you're not basically taking your handful of people that you have on each brand and beating a dead horse by making them face the same people over and over and over. You've got, WWE has 200 some odd wrestlers under contract, give or take, but they're broken up between literally 3 shows, and who knows how many of that 200's actually just in developmental process. They don't have a name. They're working out in the performance center. As far as actually, on TV, ready to go talent, they have to spread this out between 3 touring brands. And it would make perfect sense to bring in more jobbers. And it doesn't need to be against just heels. Hell, Raw is a boring ass 3-hour long show. Make the first hour nothing but squash matches. Maybe start out with a hot match or a hot segment, and then have the next hour, so first 30 minutes something hot to get people interested, next hour entertaining squash matches, and then the rest of the show actual matches that mean something. The whole point when Raw came around, it was trying to basically do what Clash of Champions had done for WCW/NWA, and the whole point of that was, here on TV, we are going to have pay-per-view quality matches. Because prior to that, when it was Superstars and WCW Saturday Night, all you saw was squash matches. I don't know why that's hard to say. Squash matches, damn it, and promos. So it would be nice to move a little bit back toward that, because at this point we have so many freaking pay-per-views and 6 some odd hours of TV every week at least. Come on, man. Just give some local talents some one-night paydays. They'll be happy to do that, get on TV. Who cares, man? Yeah, they're going to eat the pin to who knows who, but they're getting paid. They don't care. And they can say, hey, I was on Monday Night Raw, or hey, I was on SmackDown.
And you can have some run-ins with the squash matches where the squash guy gets the cover. You know what I'm saying? Because, the other dude cost him the match. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it can set up storylines. Just like I would have rather seen Roman in a squash match. And then they do the interview crap afterwards against, as far as, the part with Stephanie afterwards. And instead of this case where it made Gallows and Anderson. I don't feel like they look bad. They're still the tag team champions. They win in irreputable ways anyway. It's not like they're this dominant tag team. So like I said, I don't truly feel like it hurts them at all.
Well, one real last quick thing on squash matches before I forget. Back in, this would have been late 80s when it was still the NWA, still Crockett Promotions, on the WCW Saturday Night Show, there was some team coming in from some other territory, and they were a big deal, and I can't remember who it was. But there was this jobber tag team that lost to everybody, and they were blonde, skinny blokes, and they were just nothing. And this team comes in, and they get this, they lose. The jobber team gets this fluke win, and that big deal team is never heard from again. So that is a great case of, you can do something to make, something can happen. A jobber can win. It can advance a storyline. I think in this case, whoever they pissed off somebody in Crockett right after they got signed, and they were like, okay, you're gonna have a match and you're out. I can't remember who it was. I just remember that moment. I'll kind of never forget it because those guys just acted like they won the freaking Super Bowl, man. They just headlined WrestleMania. It was the biggest moment of their lives, and yeah, so you can do something with jobbers, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need more of that. But on with Monday Night Raw.
All right, so the show comes down to 3 storylines, 3 different pivotal moments. Yeah, I call it the rise of Samoa Joe. He shows up to Raw with Triple H, in that kind of bodyguard role. It was kind of cool. Triple H never said anything or had really anything to do with the show. He just shows up with Joe. Basically, it cements Joe's character. He sits down with Cole, and when you talk about a character that is perfectly cast, and I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to put myself over in any way. I just feel like this was the character Joe was meant to play. And in this interview with Michael Cole, they did a great job of cementing the character. That he is a badass. He doesn't need Triple H. He doesn't need anybody. He beats people up. He's loyal to Triple H because he gave him a shot. It was really cool because it sets up, if Seth can't go back, it could set up the Triple H versus Joe match if they wanted to do it that way, because he made it very clear in the interview that he didn't need it. I mean, he really has this character down. And then he takes a shot at Sami Zayn in the interview, saying he's not like Sami Zayn. He's not happy to be here. He wants to beat people up. This is all part of one storyline, Sami Zayn's match with Rusev. There's a shocking ending where Rusev is coming in the ring and Sami Zayn catches him with a surprise haluva kick and gets the pin. It's great for Zayn to get a win, and it was great for Rusev because it wasn't like he was dominated. He just got caught off guard. So if they want to come back and let Rusev win next week, they can, or it's pretty much could just be a one-off situation. So they do the after-match interview, which is I'm really happy with that the WWE is bringing this back because it's a great storytelling tool. And he says he goes into his spiel. I honestly don't remember a lot of what he said, but I honestly don't remember because, like I said, I find Sami Zayn boring. But he says something about Samoa Joe as far as that he isn't just happy to be here; he wants to win. So Joe comes out and he just, of course, in the suit. He's still in his suit, which is, I love it that they didn't go away from that. And he beats the crap out of Sami Zayn, hits him from behind, beats him, and at some point he yells, "You better put some respect on my name." I cracked up because last year in the hip hop world, there's a rapper named Baby, and that was one of his lines, and it became a big internet meme. Is "You better put some respect on my name." And it's funny because it was hilarious with this guy saying it, but now with Samoa Joe, this badass saying it, you can imagine a guy of that caliber. Whenever you talk about me, you better have respect in your tone when you talk about me. There better be some sort of fear, or I'm going to come out and destroy you. So that really did, like I said, they are really doing a good job of supplanting his character, cementing his character, and you go after the fan favorite Sami Zayn, which is cool, and it sets up a little program for him for the next few weeks. Maybe even a match at the pay-per-view.
Nice.
So that was that part, and I don't know which part I want to talk about first. I'm gonna give I'm all about giving the women's due, so I'm gonna wait and talk about them as the main event. So the next one is the Festival of Friendship, and there were two huge shocking moments on Raw and SmackDown this week, and this was the biggest one. Jericho did a great job. It had a very Rock's birthday feel with Mick Foley. Just Kevin Owens kind of crapping on everything that he put out there, and it was very gay adjacent, is all I'm to say. It was very much like, it was more like Chris Jericho was in love with Kevin Owens instead of it was his best friend, and the Kevin Owens was very uncomfortable with this. So then, out of nowhere, Owens says he has a gift for Jericho. And he says the list was getting all tattered and torn, and he got him a new list. But as you look up the list, Jericho's staring it, and you look up the list, and it says the list of KO. And the only name on the list of KO in a perfectly played part by Jericho. Jericho looks at the list and says, "Why is my name on the list?" And Kevin Owens destroys Jericho. And then in true, hey, I have a best friend, I have to do something to my best friend, you get the apron powerbomb. That's the thing about Kevin Owens. I would never want to be his best friend, because generally you're going to get the apron powerbomb. So I think this further cements the fact that Goldberg is not going over on Kevin Owens at the pay-per-view. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws, but I really don't. Ever since the beginning, and they talked about it, I have not thought Goldberg was going over. I feel like Brock Lesnar is going to help Goldberg win, and then you're going to have Jericho do the run-in on Kevin Owens to set up their WrestleMania match, title versus title, Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens.
I think it could go either way with what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just don't want to see Kevin Owens and Jericho in the United States title match. I just think if you're doing this big blow-off on this thing you've been building up for 6 months, title versus title match. The thing about Goldberg and Lesnar is they're Goldberg and Lesnar. They don't need a title to be on the line. And if you're setting it up, you have Kevin Owens win both belts, right? And then the next night on Raw, the returning demon, returning to get his prize, Finn Balor comes back to challenge Kevin Owens at the next pay-per-view. It's a perfect story. It's right there. It's the next few months, and you have full-time wrestlers getting full-time credit, and your belt not going away to only show up once a month on Brock Lesnar.
That is definitely a better story than I fear what's going to happen. I would really like that. And you could even, and I know they wouldn't play into it, but you could even have Finn Balor tell Kevin Owens, look, I've beaten you twice. I know I can beat you a third time. And that would be a great story.
And so that's that part. That was, like I said, it was shocking because it really did come out of nowhere. Because it feels like Jericho has done bigger stuff to screw Kevin Owens over than signing that Goldberg, but it feeds into the fear or the desperation that Kevin Owens has of facing Goldberg. And I do like that Kevin Owens is actually afraid of Goldberg. Last but not least, Bayley and Charlotte. A lot of people may have seen the results. On my Facebook group, I didn't even acknowledge it. I didn't say a word about it. I just let it go. Because I knew what was going to happen, and it did happen. Bailey, Charlotte, after some interference by Dana Brooke, had Bailey in the figure 8 move, and out to the ring comes Sasha, who hits Dana with her crutch, pokes Charlotte, and then knocks her down, and then Bailey hits her oh so impressive Bailey to belly suplex, tongue firmly planted in cheeks. I freaking hate that move. And goes over as the champion. I knew Bailey was going to be a world champion. It does not bug me that Bailey is a world champion. My whole aspect of Bailey being the world champion is this. Bailey is the biggest face in the Divas division. She is. I don't like it. I think it says something about fans, but she is the biggest face in the Divas.
Damn. Just bury the fandom right now, don't you?
Yeah. I just like...
all y'all motherfuckers are listening. You stupid. You like Bailey? You suck.
Bailey seems to be the... Bailey, I was going to say something really bad there. I'm not. But
might as well. Go for it. I mean, you've already buried everyone. Let's hear it.
Basically, Bailey seems to be fans of people who... I don't even know. I can't even...
You can say it.
I'm going to say safe. I'm going to stay safe because I don't want to do anything. I don't want to overly offend the world in case someone else is listening. So, in case some other people are listening. But just know that Bailey does not intellectually, wrestle-wise, stimulate me in any way. I think she puts on good matches, not great matches. But in this match, my problem with the Bailey situation is that there could have been a bigger payoff. Her being the biggest face in the Divas division, I feel like you build it and she keeps losing, right? And she gets another shot, and they do the multi-person match at WrestleMania, and Bailey can't get over the hump, and Bailey in Orlando, in pretty much her adopted hometown, with her super fan Izzy somewhere close in the first row.
Oh, I hope Izzy gets a first row seat. That would be so awesome. I love Izzy.
I truly feel the WWE takes care of that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I truly feel with Izzy in the first row, Bailey pins Charlotte for her first pay-per-view loss and becomes the WWE champion. I feel like that would have been a bigger payoff. I feel like Orlando would have went nuts. So again, even though I don't like Bailey, I can be objective and say I just think there was a bigger payoff on this, and there was a bigger moment to be had with Bailey being the champion. It felt anticlimactic because the last 4 times Charlotte has defended, or last 3 times Charlotte has defended her title on Raw, she's lost it. So it's like Bailey didn't do anything special.
Yeah, that's what I read some stuff about this, and there was one headline that called this a wasted opportunity, and I have to agree with that. It's because it's at this point it's a broken record. It's like, okay, how quickly are we getting Charlotte to 16 titles to match and then go further than her father did, even though her father actually had like 22 world championships, but we won't talk about that. So it's like, let's see how fast we can get there. And Big E was probably right. It'll probably happen in 4 months at this rate.
Yeah. She needs a long title run. She does. She needs a long title run. The long title run does more to help the face than it does her.
Yeah,
First, when the face finally wins, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and this is something that I was listening to Voices of Wrestling this morning as I was making breakfast, and they were talking about how WWE has done a poor job at just bouncing these belts around a lot. They talked about with the SmackDown Women's title, and just the titles in general, and I think they're absolutely right. This, especially with the Raw Women's Championship, has been used horribly. Honestly, it should have been held by Charlotte this entire time. It should have been 1 year-long stretch, and then at Mania, you could have, at that point, that could be the moment where either Sasha or Bayley wins it, either of them, and it's a huge freaking deal. And then you could do the next big win, maybe for Bayley, could be at, at Brooklyn at SummerSlam, since that's her other home away from home. But it's a random Raw. It's not even on the road to WrestleMania. It's getting you into Fastlane, for fuck's sake. Fastlane, one of the most worthless pay-per-views of all time. I mean, it's even a stupid name. And, I'm sorry, it's WWE Fastlane, because we don't know we're watching fucking WWE. God, stop treating us like we're idiots, man. Jesus.
Well, I mean, most of the fan base does like Bayley, so.
Oh, you just had to go there. And I like Bayley. I love Bayley, but I'm a guy who likes the lovable loser. I like the underdog. That's why you look at who are some of my favorite wrestlers. Daniel Bryan is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano, Bayley. I look at these, they're kind of all cut from the same cloth, and they're just perfect baby faces. Because you watch them, get either mistreated or the poo beat out of them. And then when they finally get that big win, it's a huge deal. When DIY finally beat the Revival, it was a huge freaking deal. And not only was it an amazing match, it was a great story. I like Bayley. I have no qualms saying I love Bayley. I don't think I'm the stupid fan. I hope I'm not. Maybe I am. People can tell me if I am, then that's fine. But this was just an absolute wasted opportunity, because all this means, Charlotte's going to win it back at Fastlane because reasons, and then whatever happens at WrestleMania means jack squat. Oh, and Dana Brooke was there because apparently Nia Jax missed her plane. That was the only reason Dana actually got to come out on TV, because it should have been Nia. And what do you think of Emelina? Because apparently that's been scrapped because she couldn't play the character.
I didn't bring that up because it was such a... She comes out, says, you're going to see the translation from Emelina back to Emma. Maybe she didn't like the character. I don't know what that is. I mean, that's the backstage stuff that I get into, but I can't get overly into because it is a character and she just might not have fit the character. She might have tried as hard as she possibly could and just couldn't pull it off. It just came off unnatural. I truly believe a lot of that they would do better in the WWE if they recognized that a lot quicker. Yeah. I wish it would have happened with a lot of other characters. Apollo Crews, to be the same, where it just comes off unnatural, like it's a forced situation. Him smiling all the time seems forced. So that's just an example of someone I think that's miscast. So if they realized it was a casting error, they came out, ended the character right there, and now we won't have to hear about it again, and we'll see where they go from now.
I just hope it means Evil Emma's coming back, because Evil Emma was awesome. Pair her back up with Dana Brooke. They were fantastic together. Dana being kind of the mouth and the occasional, at least looks like muscle. Because Dana Brooke she's an impressive looking young lady. She looks like if she punches you, it's going to knock your ass out. Just because she's so well built. She's so strong. Which she should be, considering she's a fitness model, for Pete's sake. But yeah, that whole thing, apparently, from what I've read, is the character they wanted her to play, which was a kind of a Sable Sunny-esque character, she couldn't do. And it's probably because she's actually a good wrestler and wants to be a wrestler and not a pinup model. It just so happens that she looks like a pinup model. But what she really wants to do is be a great wrestler.
And she might be a great wrestler and not a great actor.
Exactly. Let's let her be a wrestler, go out there, have great matches, because she can. And I'm looking forward to having, her getting in the mix, seeing her have matches with Bayley and Sasha and Charlotte and even Nia Jax and whatnot. Let's mix it up. But maybe they'll send her off to SmackDown. Who knows? But yeah, I heard that was a big bust. But I guess at least she showed up on TV. But I mean, that character that they wanted her to play, that's Eva Marie. Just have Eva Marie play that character.
They do a good job of WWE of if they don't like a storyline, killing it instead of like WCW, they just stop mentioning it. They actually go in, hey, we killed the storyline. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah. Well, that was Raw. Now tell us about SmackDown Live. Again, I saw the opening part, Bray coming out, getting just he was so over. The cheers were awesome. I saw part of his promo. It was a very good Bray Wyatt promo. I am very happy that Bray Wyatt is the WWE champion. I think it's been a long time coming. I really hope he doesn't drop it at Mania, however that's going to shake down. Unless he drops it to Luke Harper, then I'm okay with that. That's not going to happen, but I would be okay with that.
Well, it's building up to a payoff. And I worked it out this morning while doing I do my show notes, and I kind of go through the week of wrestling, and I basically base on stuff I remember. So in this promo, it was of course first promo of the Riot Reign. It was really good. John Cena comes out, and you already covered how good his promo is. John Cena comes out, and he does this. You don't deserve anything. She's like, you got these fans brainwashed because they're saying you deserve it. You don't deserve anything. You earn it. Look at my shirt, respect, earn it. And I was like, I don't think John Cena actually understands the dictionary because those words are not mutually exclusive. You generally deserve what you earn. I went out and did a good job, and I'm getting the reward I deserve and earned. The words are not mutually exclusive. Because you say someone deserves something doesn't mean they didn't earn it.
Exactly. Doesn't mean
generally
it was handed
it doesn't
to them.
mean you did earn it. That's why you deserve it.
Yeah. That's I hate the argument of the against the you deserve it chants, because actually a lot of times I think they're really good. Because it's a way of the audience saying, "Hey, we are really happy you got this. And so I don't see it as someone is entitled to something or anything. I just see it as, hey, you did a great job.
You put in the work. You've been putting on solid promos and solid matches for years. You have earned this title. So in essence, you deserve it. It was just one of the things that annoyed. But over these last few months, it's really becoming apparent how much John Cena loves the WWE. And my respect for him every week is growing more. I can't even say I hate John Cena anymore. I might be my favorite wrestler ever. I may dislike all the years that I had to put up with him winning, but his respect for the business and being able to do business, especially over the last few months, last few years, has garnered way more respect for me. Even in this promo, after he did that and basically gave a middle finger to the fans, he then put over Bray Wyatt and how much work he's done, to be where he is, and then of course he talked about getting his title shot. So I am, like I said, my respect level for John Cena is going way up. I always respect wrestlers, don't get me wrong, because what they do is not natural. I mean, it is not what anybody's physical body was meant to be put through. So that being said, I respect what he is doing now more than anything. So going into that, because I'm just going to kind of skip around, they did the triple threat match with him and AJ. AJ comes out and says, I just want my one-on-one title shot that I was promised, which is true. I've never seen anyone lose the WWE title and just basically not get a one-on-one rematch in any way. So that might be building to the him versus Shane at WrestleMania, which I don't think anyone wants to see.
No.
Now, him and Shane in his prime, oh my God, I would have paid money to see it. But
yeah, him and Shane now, it's going to be atrocious. Hopefully Shane will bring in a proxy. Real quick, I did want to say one thing before you go on, because I just remembered that I did see when Cena came out and AJ came out and then Daniel Bryan came out and made the three-way. John Cena's little dancing around like he's got to pee for a minute, when he was getting excited about the three-way and then pointing at both of them. I just saw that and I was like, my God, how old are you? You're damn near 40, son, and you are dancing like a child. You're also dressed like one. But that, I know that's his character, but that just, I don't know why, that just made me shake my head and go, oh man. It's like all the good about John Cena that I'd felt after the match at Royal Rumble, after the Elimination Chamber, because man, he has put in some stellar performances in the ring in the last couple of months, and I was just like, what are you doing? And I know that kind of stuff gets the little kids hyped. So
yeah, I mean, that's who he's there for. And like I said, and I think it comes off as natural. I think he really does love wrestling. I think he really does love the WWE. He is the biggest cheerleader for the WWE. And I think it comes off now. And I'm starting to see it more and stop seeing it as the hate, through the hate-colored eyes that I've always had, and trying to see him as more from a middle type of person, trying to actually take like a point of view where it's like, hey, let's see what he's doing now. And what he's doing now is putting on some great performances, putting over people, and, you know, him being who he is as far as 16-time champion really puts over the new performers when they beat him. So it's like, I might have had to deal with that, but it's making for great storytelling now.
Yep. Yeah.
So. Yes. Yeah, okay, so that part is gone. In the triple threat at the final part of the match, like I said, I am jumping around. He takes the Sister Abigail, and he puts over Bray again. So I give him credit for that. We will get to what happened after the match in just a moment. Big old shout out to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is in his prime. He never misses a day and everything. He is doing a lot for Baron Corbin right now. They did this section where he was going through the arena looking for Baron Corbin, and then he finds Baron Corbin, and he didn't find what he wanted to find. Baron Corbin beats the crap out of him, puts him through a table in one of the nastiest bumps I've ever seen, just because it looked like he was going to land on a harder part, but he did land safely. And then they did the whole gimmick where they had the ambulance come cart him off. It was pretty cool, and it did a lot for Baron Corbin's character, that he's not going to be the heel that when someone comes chasing him, he runs off. He's going to be the heel that you don't want to find when you're pissed off at him. So more like an Undertaker heel than like the cowering big guy heel.
Well, good. We need less cowardly heels.
Yes. And so that was cool. Highlight of the night to me, other than the end of the show, the Usos probably cut their best tag team promo they have in a while. It was a backstage segment. They're in the trailer. They're in black, and they got white. You know, they got the day one gimmick that they had as with the paint. Down since day one. They had the day one on their the hoodies, and it was just a very ominous type of scary. Like you hear that breeze on your neck. It's the Usos, and they're coming to get you. And it's very gangsta, and they will do anything to beat the American Alphas. They did. If I did skim over this, American Alphas were in a match with the Ascension, and they squashed. So everything I thought they were going to do with the Ascension, or hoping it was building to the Ascension, did not happen. But the heel gimmick has revitalized the Usos' career. Whoever came up with it, maybe it was their idea or the writer's idea, whoever's idea it was, has saved their career because they are more natural heels. Even if they go face, I would like them to more keep the cocky, kind of dangerous side of how they work, because they work. They work as heels. Yeah. So, and they are a perfect foil for American Alpha for now. I would like to see them win the titles at Mania. I doubt it, but I'd like to see it. And we were, on the main roster, we've been missing good tag team rivalries. and this is a good tag team rivalry.
Yeah, the tag team, especially in SmackDown division, is so weak right now that they need a good rivalry and really making the Usos going against American Alpha, which we all think is going to be just a fantastic match, though we haven't seen them have a great match yet. We just know the potential's there. So
yeah, they don't have very long matches. Like when you do have a match, it's generally short and it ends with the Usos attacking American Alpha. So they haven't had a real tag in, tag out, the titles are on the line match yet. And it's kind of cool because they're kind of teasing it, and if they build it up for Mania, it actually works.
Exactly. Yeah. So you said there's one other thing you want to talk about, the final segment?
Yes, on the final segment, yeah, there was other stuff in the show, but the final segment, after the match, Randy Orton comes out to Bray, and his music hits, and he comes into the middle of the ring. He looks Bray in the eye, and he grabs the mic, and you think, man, this is the point where Randy just RKO's him out of nowhere and tells him he's ready for WrestleMania, and he bows to no man. Absolutely faked you out. Randy Orton says, you are, as long as you are the master and I am the servant, I will not challenge you at WrestleMania. And then he gets on his knees and bows to Bray. Wow. If anybody told me they saw that coming that does not work for the WWE or have direct ties to one of the writers, I will say you are a freaking genius, because I did not see that coming. That completely plays against any type of character Randy Orton has played, and it was amazing. I love being shocked. I've always said it, with the world of spoilers and everything these days, being shocked is one of the best feelings as a wrestling fan. My jaw dropped. I was in silence, and it was amazing. I mean, I mean, it was such a shocking moment that it was like, I got a little misty-eyed, because I was just like, wow, the WWE gave us something different.
So now, do you think the long term is still going to end up being Randy Orton eventually turning on Bray, and this is Randy Orton just playing a long game, deep undercover, but I'm going to screw you over at some point? Or do you think...
I hope not, personally. I hope not. I like this idea. It's different. It's something that we haven't seen done in our wrestling time. I don't know if you remember anything like this.
Not really, no.
No, this is the first time the Royal Rumble winner has refused to face the champion. And then Daniel Bryan announced on Talk of Smack that there's going to be a Battle Royal next week. And of course, I like to get my mind working. I am a bit of a creative person, so I like to see how it works. I think Luke Harper, of course, wins the Battle Royal, which is, wins the Battle Royal and gets ready to challenge Bray. Because at that point, Bray's like, well, no, Randy Orton won. So, Randy Orton gets the title shot because he, of course, thinks Randy's going to lay down for him. So now at WrestleMania, you have a triple threat match. Randy Orton, the whole Wyatt family, in essence. Randy Orton, Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt for the WWE Champion, which I think is a way better match than anything we could have expected.
That is true. And for a long time, there's been talk, at some point, we're going to have a WrestleMania triple threat match with all the guys from The Shield. Who knew that we would have a triple threat match with the guys from the Wyatt family, albeit with Randy Orton, before we'd at Mania, before a match with the Shield guys at Mania. So,
yeah. And I truly think how it ends is Randy Orton pins Luke Harper for the championship.
Oh, I don't want to see Randy Orton with the belt.
Well, and Randy Orton somehow pins Luke Harper for the championship because it makes a better storyline. And like I said, I am thinking about not all the years that we were forced with certain people down our throat. I'm thinking about what is best storyline now. The best storyline is Randy Orton somehow beating Bray Wyatt unintentionally, maybe hitting the RKO and falling on top of Luke Harper some way, and then you have this reluctant feud between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
Unless we get a finger poke of doom the next Tuesday.
Which, I mean, I don't think the WWE will do that ever again. I mean, they never did it. WCW did it. I mean, when they did it, it was comical, and it was Shawn giving up the European title to Triple H, which he didn't care about. And I don't think you'll ever see that in the WWE because Vince does try to keep respect on the titles.
Really?
I think he does.
Considering the way the titles have been treated in the last 9 months.
Basically, they're saying the talent's so even anyone can be the champion. I mean, you can look at it as that way.
Oh, well, that's a glass half full way to do it, yeah.
Hey, believe me, I've gotten on here and buried the WWE many times. So it's not like I'm afraid to. It's just I'm trying to take a more neutral opinion of it and just not come off as somebody that hates the product.
Fair enough. We that is good choice.
So I'm like, okay, I know you could see it this way. You could see it as they are ping-ponging this belt around, or you can see it as, hey, they're trying to set up the talent as being even. I don't really, like I said, I don't like the title changing hands. I came from a time in my life where Hogan held the belt, like when I was first into wrestling. Hogan held the belt for 4 years. Ric Flair would lose it usually like once a year and then get it right back like 3 months later. But he was basically the champion the whole time. So I like long title reigns. I dig long title reigns. Some of the best wrestling I ever saw had to do with CM Punk's long title reign and turning heel in the middle of the title reign. But we are in a different world, the internet world. Vine was a thing for a long time, 6-second videos. People don't have the patience to let storylines develop like they used to.
Yeah, sometimes you should give people what they need and not what they want. But on a real quick side note, I've got to say the belt that Punk held, probably the ugliest iteration of the WWE Championship ever made.
Yeah, and I would have liked him. I would have liked him to get the new belt, or even instead of giving it, I think it was The Rock that they gave the new belt to.
It was.
Yeah, so I would have liked him to see the new belt and him to just ream how ugly the spinner belt was. And he's like, I need a belt with some class. And then
the one thing you can't say about that belt is that thing looked like, if you were DDT'd on that thing, it looked like it probably would have hurt. Because it was super thick and it was all bumpy. But my God, that was a tacky-ass looking thing.
It was an ugly belt. I mean, for the time when it came out, it was what was in. Spinners were in. And it was a thing, and it was good. And then it wasn't. It's that simple. I mean, it was a fad. I mean, spinners were on everything. Grills were on everything. And it was blinged out, and it was a spinner. I mean, that was... And when it first came out, I thought it was the coolest thing ever because it represented the time that it was in. It was John Cena's belt.
I somehow missed all of that in pop culture, and I'm very glad I did.
Well, I'm going to say you're probably the least hip-hop friendly person we have as far as that culture.
That having been said, I walked into work Friday morning, and I worked at an opening of the library, something I normally don't do on Fridays. And I walk in, and my coworker Mark has blaring Naughty by Nature's OPP. You talk about a great way to start the day with some old school early 90s hip hop. I had the biggest smile on my face. That was amazing. And admittedly, my knowledge of hip hop kind of ends around the time of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's first records. That's where it kind of ends for me, because it was Bone Thugs and Harmony was the group that really turned me off, because they did that whole rapping kind of out of tune and out of beat with the music, because they were that first that I ever heard group that did that whole thing where the cadence of the rap and the beat and melody of the music did not go hand in hand. So that was the first, and at that point, from then on, a lot of the rap I would hear was like trying to be Bone Thugs and Harmony type stuff, and I was like, ooh, that's awful. Now, mumble rap cracks me up. This new mumble rap thing. That I don't understand, but I think it's hysterical because it's so bad.
I have always been a person that liked lyricists. I mean, as long as I've liked rap, I've always been into more of the lyrical side. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Childish Gambino. That's the new generation of that. Even back then, it was Goody Mob, Outkast, Common. I like people like that. I'm like, I wouldn't call myself a hip hop head or even a music aficionado in any way. I just like people that use words amazing and tell good stories. So that's a big thing. Even with music, I like a good story told in whatever form you choose to take it.
Very good. So you're just a story guy.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a good story.
Yeah.
All right.
So I generally like autobiographical or biographical music.
Nice. So, did you have any? Were you a fan of much of the early '90s? Dr. Dre, Naughty by Nature, NWA, late '80s stuff. Were you a fan of that stuff at all?
Not really. I like the beats. I mean, honestly, that was a time in my life. I can say my brother was really big in R&B, and I think I've made it clear the influence that my brother had in my life. So that's what I listened to. I listened to late 80s, early 90s R&B a lot. I didn't delve into the world of hip-hop. My brother-in-law, Mario, I think I was in 9th grade, and he bought me Goody Mob Soul Food. It was like my first foray back into hip-hop.
So you were more into the Jodeci's and Belle Biv DeVoe's type of thing.
Yes, oh my God. Boys to Men, I think their album was called 2. That album, I know every word of every song.
Boys to Men, those dudes were awesome.
It's it's something I miss. It's the group, the band, the group now. It seems like it's like if it has followed the thing of or followed the same storyline as wrestling. You don't have groups now. They might put out 1 or 2 albums, then someone's going solo. They break up the band way too early. They change. They turn heel way too quick.
And that is with pop, like boy bands, pop groups, R&B groups. They aren't together very long. Destiny's Child wasn't together very long before Beyonce was like, I'm out. I got to go do my own thing. And you think Justin Timberlake is the only person that made anything from the whole NSYNC Backstreet Boys era. He's the only one that's still doing anything of note or meaning. And who'd have thought? You go back and you look at those two groups from back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and this goofy-looking guy with the curly-ass hair, it's like, that dude? That's the one? He's going to be the big star? Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, and I've heard this on different, it's all about the producer, and he has pretty much tied himself to Timbaland, and him and Timbaland make amazing music together. So that, I mean, I am a big Justin Timberlake fan. I tell everyone that his concert I went to in Tulsa was the best concert I've ever been to in my life. Nice. And I've seen Kanye twice, and I loved Kanye. I've seen Bruno Mars, love Bruno Mars, but Justin Timberlake was just blew everyone out of the water.
I bet Bruno Mars would be a good concert. I really like him.
Really, really, really good concert. He's going to be in Dallas October 27th of this year. Me and the fam are going to that.
Nice. Now, what was your first concert ever?
First concert ever was KJ 103. It was like a fest that they did. I went my senior year in high school, and NSYNC performed doing it. But the big NSYNC wasn't that big, or they were big. They were getting bigger at the time. NSYNC performed. They weren't the stars of the event. The star of the event was supposed to be Coolio, who missed his flight. So the show ended with Tone Loc.
Oh, Tone Loc, that's awesome.
It was an outside type of fest thing, and honestly can say that I learned more about that kind of stuff, that it helped me for wrestling in a few years, about stuff to bring, always kind of be prepared type thing.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a great first moment.
Nice. Now, was that at the fairgrounds?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It was out in the field somewhere.
I remember.
Like I said, I was 17 years old. It was May of 1999. So,
Oh,
I don't know.
Man, I remember KJ, because they used to always do their yearly, they would do a concert in the summer at the fairgrounds every year, and I remember back in, I think it was 1993.
It was called Summerfest. That's
Yeah.
what it was, KJ Summerfest.
Yeah, and in '93 they were during the height of the whole alternative music thing. They did the Flaming Lips, the Chainsaw Kittens, and Wakeland, and this was before the Flaming Lips were like known nationally. They had been playing the hell out of She Don't Use Jelly already locally, and it was in the in the arena thing that it's at the fairgrounds where the circus always plays, the big circle thing. That was the loudest concert I'd ever been to in my life. There were maybe 300 people in that building, so not many people. And when the Lips were playing, Emily and I literally went to the other side of the building because I didn't know about bringing earplugs at the time, and it still hurt. It was so loud. Holy crap. But just since I asked you, my first concert I ever went to show my age, this was 1985, the Private Dancer Tour. I saw Tina Turner with Mr. Mister opening up, and Tina Turner, holy God, put on an amazing show. That woman is awesome, and I just, she was so good.
You're old.
Shut up. Well, enough of all the few people who do listen to the show. They're going, why the fuck are you all talking about this? Stop.
That's our music interlude to today. Just know,
Yes.
we can branch out. If you ever want to listen, Dave, tell them about your music show.
Oh yeah. So I have a music show, the Oklahoma Lefty podcast. It drops normally super late night, early Tuesday morning, and it's on the same. It's hosted by the same folks that host Around the Ring, so you can find it on the KRLN Radio Spreaker channel. And if you ever want to hear my musings about music and me playing what I think are great tunes, then check that out. But enough of that. We had some more wrestling this week. Now, did you get a chance to watch 205 Live or NXT?
I am the wrestling obsessed person of this world, so yes, I watched all.
What you want to talk about first?
205 Live, honestly, it was Tozawa went over on someone again. It was quick, and he basically told Brian Kendrick I understand English fine, I don't like you. And that was it was funny because it was his first English words was, I don't like you. TJ Perkins had a promo early in the night where he was talking about facing Neville. His cocky side is coming out. Humble TJ Perkins was not boring. It was uncomfortable because that's not who his character was. It wasn't who he portrayed in the CWC. So now that they're going more towards cocky TJ Perkins, I'm starting to like him more, and I think cocky TJ Perkins would have made a great first CWC champion, and I think he would have had a bigger following if they let him do that and do the whole dabbing thing and let him be actually cocky. I hated how on the first two of the first three champions, they just wanted you to know about their struggle, and it's just like, no, people are a lot less caring than they used to be in certain ways. And that's one thing, when they know it's a storyline and they know you're trying to garner sympathy, you usually, whatever you're trying to do, you usually get the opposite result.
Good point. Though the whole homeless thing was part of TJ Perkins' actual story. I mean, that kind of did legit happen.
I mean, it did legit happen, but Brian Kendrick flat out said it and kind of buried it. You know how many wrestlers are homeless at some point during their career?
True that.
I mean, a lot of wrestlers lived out of their car. I mean, and, just all sorts of ways where they didn't have a house. They just kind of paid their someone in their family to have a room because they were always out and working. It happens. And it's just like, that's great, and we've read all the wrestling biographies and autobiographies about people being homeless. It wasn't his character, It might have been who he was. It might be who he is. It might have actually happened to him, but it wasn't the character we were introduced to in the CWC. A lot of the character that people liked. He was the human video game, and they should have stuck with that.
That is true. What else happened?
All right, so my main event, Neville and Perkins, actually had a good match. I am kind of skipping through the show because it wasn't that memorable. I'm not, because I tried to cover it like, hey, what do you want to know about? That was pretty much all that happened. Neville versus Perkins put on a really good match. They did this, there was a spot where Perkins was going for a move and then he landed on his arm, and Neville worked on his arm the rest of the match, and before he puts him in that Rings of Saturn's move, and then he pulls all the way back and TJ's forced to tap out. And of course he's still attacking him, and then Gallagher comes out, and he of course looks good, and that's how the show ends with Gallagher on it. Gallagher as the face, or as the land person setting up their match for WWE Fastlane.
Oh, God damn it. I hate it how they keep calling it WWE Fastlane. So I'm assuming that at Fastlane, Gallagher is not going to win. They're going to keep the belt on Neville and set up, I'm hoping, that a ladder match. I really hope that the multi-man title match at Mania is the Cruiserweights, because it looks like we're going to get Corbin and Ambrose for the IC belt. That's great. We're going to get something with Jericho and Owens with those belts. One, both, something, and that's great. So that leaves the multi-man to be either one of the women's championships, which those could also be a multi-person match. The Raw women's title is probably going to be a fatal four-way. The SmackDown women's title, I have no idea what they're going to do. It might be a one-on-one with Naomi and somebody, and that'll probably be on the pre-show. But I think the match to open needs to be a 6 or 7 man ladder match for the Cruiserweight Championship, and just tell those guys, just go out there and do your thing. Let it go. Fly around. Do whatever you can. Just get this crowd hyped. Because you let those guys go, oh man, imagine a ladder match with Neville, TJP, Cedric Alexander, Gallagher, Tozawa, and maybe Austin Aries, or maybe Austin Aries that's the night after says, you know what, I'm sick of being behind this microphone. I want to challenge for the title. So yeah, that could be an amazing match.
It could be. I completely agree. I think if you really want to showcase what the Cruiserweights can do, their title, it should be six or 7 man. It should be that ladder match that comes at WrestleMania. I have been very much of the opinion that I really do want to see TLC brought back, the tag team TLC brought back, but I think a good alternative is the Cruiserweight ladder match.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so that was 205 Live. Now tell us about NXT.
NXT. It was a good show, but again, it was more setting up for TakeOver than actual storyline. That's what I miss about NXT. Let's say a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, there were storylines every week, and it wasn't just building up to the next big show. It was that show had a storyline. Like when the Revival won their tag team belts, when they were just Dash and Dawson, it was on a regular episode of NXT. Everything wasn't built over to the next pay-per-view. So it felt like this was just a build-up to the TakeOver in Orlando. The first being Gargano and Ciampa come out. They beat a team that I don't remember. Or did they beat a team? I honestly don't think they wrestled. They came out in their shirts. They started cutting a promo about how they want their tag belts, their journey, and then Authors of Pain came out, basically said they don't have any shot of winning. Now Revival come in from the back, attack, put them in that shatter machine. Of course, Gargano eats the shatter machine, and then they run out before Authors of Pain can come do anything about it. So it's setting up the triple threat tag team match at NXT TakeOver, but I don't think anyone actually wrestled in this match. it's to set up that tag match at NXT Takeover, which I'm actually excited about. All three of these teams, we haven't seen a Revival versus Authors of Pain match, but all three of these teams have put on good matches with each other. So I can imagine a triple threat match still in the show there, especially when you got the big hulking styles of Authors of Pain. You know, they can always be a good way to, you know, pretty much knock a guy off the match where he has to go lay out for a while as they're building the rest of the match. So I look forward to that match.
Very cool. All right. Anything else major happen in the show?
Couple more things. The team of Iconic, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, they wrestled Liv Morgan and her oh so mysterious tag team partner that no one saw coming, Ember Moon. Peyton, Iconic, wins with a double team move on Liv. It sets up next week number one contendership for the title. And I don't understand this. It's Peyton versus Liv and Ember, right? I feel like the team that won should have had two people in a triple threat match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that doesn't. And why doesn't Nikki Cross get to be in this?
I don't know. They talked. They had their sanity type promo type thing, and like I said, that wasn't very memorable at all. That's why I'm not really discussing it. So I was just like, unfortunately, I feel like it should be a triple threat or a fatal four-way at the NXT Takeover Orlando. That reason being, I don't think anyone is good enough to put on a good match with Asuka. She goes all out. She doesn't really tune her style to her opponent to put on a good match. AJ Styles adjusts to who he's wrestling. That's a big thing about AJ. He can put on a match with everybody because he adjusts to who he's wrestling. Asuka really doesn't. She's going to come in and kick and punch the crap out of you.
Yeah, Asuka is much closer to a shoot fighter. She's just going to come in and F you up.
Yeah, and it's just like, but it doesn't really make for great matches with her.
And the thing with, if you do a multi-person match, you can get the belt off of her and get her on the main roster while still being undefeated. And then if they really want to, you could build to her being the one to defeat Charlotte at a pay-per-view finally, which would, I mean, it gets away from the Four Horsewomen storyline, which we probably need to get away from anyway. And it will, I mean, who else at this point at a pay-per-view do you think is going to be able to beat Charlotte? Well, it's Asuka, because Asuka is going to kill them all.
Yeah, like I said, I get Asuka. I get Asuka. I get her appeal. Not a huge fan of her, just because, again, she to be as talented as I've heard she is, as I think her name was Kana, she hasn't really put on a great match in the WWE. I mean, she hasn't, and it's just, that's what I've been waiting on. Maybe she has to go to the main roster where the talent is more up as far as Charlotte, but she had the chance. Bayley, and Bayley's put on some good matches with Sasha. It's just like, it just seems like she wrestles her style and doesn't really adjust. And like I said, I kind of would like to see an adjustment.
Yeah, that's a very valid criticism. I think what's going to happen is when she gets to the main roster, depending on where she goes, and I think Raw would probably be a better place for her, just because there are more high-level caliber in-ring workers on Raw. I'm not saying bad things about SmackDown. I know our good friend Ryan thought I was burying the SmackDown women's division when I was saying that on paper the Raw women's division is better. No.
On paper, I mean, it's not even an argument. I mean, they have 3 or 4 horsewomen. Those chicks work.
Yeah.
Really, really well. So
exactly.
Then you got Nia Jax, who's a huge person. They even, like I said, they even got like different weight sizes. It's more of a variety on Raw.
Yeah, and now they've got Emma, who, as we all know, had that first, her and Paige going back to NXT Arrival, had that amazing match. So Emma can go, and it's just, I think you get You get Asuka up there with those ladies, and she has more veterans to work off of. Because right now in NXT, the veterans of NXT are Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. They're the ones who have, other than Asuka, they're the ones who've been around wrestling the longest. And they are both really, really good, but they are no Becky Lynch or Charlotte. They're not, and I don't think we've seen all they can do yet. I don't think they've lived up to their potential. They're getting there, but I don't know how much of that is them holding back, if WWE's holding them back, or maybe they're not as good as I give them credit for. I don't know. But I've always heard really good things about what they did in Australia. I mean, they came from the same area that gave us Emma. That place has produced a lot of great women's wrestlers.
They went to the same high school together. That is crazy how long they've known each other.
Damn. And yeah, so yeah. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall. Ember Moon wins the triple threat match. Ember Moon goes to TakeOver. Ember Moon probably beats Asuka. Unless they just swerve us and then Asuka just kills her.
Yeah, and then takes the title to SmackDown or Raw.
Yeah, and that's possible.
Yeah.
You think you've got, I think there are 3 people in the women's division in NXT who are possible for beating Asuka. Nikki Cross, Ember Moon, and the MMA chick whose name I can't remember.
Daria.
Yes, Daria. Because Daria, I mean, she's greener than a dollar bill, but she has this air, this presence, and if it comes down to a shoot fight between her and Asuka, it could actually be relatively close. Asuka still wins, but at least that chick looks like she will kill you. She's scary.
Yeah, I would put it on Billy and Peyton because I mean they're kind of a tag team as the champion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They cheat and beat Asuka, and then Ember Moon has to come overcome the numbers game to be the champion, and that makes it more of a better story.
Absolutely. The thing is, the belt needs to get off Asuka as soon as possible, and the best time to do it would have been the last TakeOver. During that 4-person match, when right after they put Nikki Cross through that table and they went down to the ring and Asuka's laid out, what they should have done is one of them, they should have like rock, paper, scissors, eeny, meeny, one of them lays down and the other one pins her. I mean, done. That was a waste. It was shocking. I mean, I don't think anyone really expected Asuka to win, just because it was a perfect opportunity for someone else to get pinned and someone else take the belt. But that would have been the best place, because you're painting yourself into a serious corner. It was kind of like the problem they had when Brock Lesnar was the champion. How do you beat this guy? Because he literally rips car doors off of cars.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So that, was there anything else from NXT?
There was the UK title match, Tyler Bate versus Seven. Everyone knew Bate wasn't going to lose. He hits the Tyler Driver, 2017. When he cuts his promos, comes off boring. I don't know if that's just an English person. He just comes off boring. And I know he's the first champion. They did a little segment introducing the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne. And they already set up tension between him and William Regal. He said what he did at the UK tournament won't fly in NXT, which is a lot more interesting than Tyler Bate.
So I'm guessing for now at least they're going to have the UK, all the UK stuff is going to be handled in NXT for now at least.
Yeah, so, and I mean, I know it's eventually going to try to lead to their own show. I think if they do their own show, of course, it should come on at like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning when it debuts, or like prime time English time. I think it should be catered completely to the United Kingdom and to the English fans, because they're going to get it, because yeah, I don't.
There you go. Well, let's see. Do you want to? We've still got TNA and Ring of Honor to talk about. Do you want to?
You lead with the Ring of Honor.
All right. So Ring of Honor this week, was a relatively uneventful episode. Mark Briscoe was joining Kevin Kelly on commentary. We had the first match was Adam Page, Hangman Page, taking on some jobber. It was a total squash. The Young Bucks came out. Adam Cole and Cody Rhodes came out. Cody Rhodes got a super ovation. I mean, it was ridiculous how nuts that place went. And he then turned around. He's like, "Thank you for this," and then he totally shit on the crowd. They were in Atlanta. They totally took a big dump on him, and they still cheered him because that's wrestling fans. We love people that tell us we suck. In the beginning of the show, they were talking about the main event was going to be Cody and Cole against Jay Lethal and Bobby Fish. Well, Cody calls out Jay Lethal, and then a brawl ensues. Bobby Fish comes out, and then the Motor City Machine Guns, well, sort of, it was Leo Rush, Alex Shelley, and who else? Jay White all come out, and there's brawl. They go to commercial, they come back, and it is Bobby Fish. They do the tag team match, so it's Bobby Fish and Jay Lethal taking on brain stopping working Ring of Honor champion Adam Cole and Cody Rhodes. It was a pretty good match. It finished I can't talk, apparently. I can't talk and read at the same time. So Bobby Fish got the win. He tapped out Adam Cole to a knee bar. This is leading into Fish has a title match at some event coming up. It was a good match. There was then some... They're leading up to next week is going to have the finals of the Decade of Excellence tournament, which we've already actually talked about the results a couple weeks ago of this, but that match is going to be Jay Briscoe taking on Christopher Daniels, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Even though I know who wins, I think that's going to be a really good match. So there was a lot of talking on this episode, and they had Kevin Kelly was interviewing Mark Briscoe about where Jay is right now, and I think Briscoe was on something because he was all over the place and losing his train of thought, and he I don't know if he was seeing people that weren't there. It was weird. But then there was a Frankie Kazarian backstage promo that was excellent, talking about the whole this is Christopher Daniels' last shot. The whole we're getting old, there's less life ahead of us than behind us. We have more memories than dreams kind of thing. It was really, really good. And I like how at some point, I don't know when, maybe it was during there was a big multi-person tag match, ladder match for the tag titles, and I think that's when the Addiction turned face. Because they've been heels for a long time, and they've slowly kind of become baby faces. Then, as Mark Briscoe is sitting there doing commentary again, his music hits, and he looks over at Kevin Kelly and says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I have a match. Bye." And leaves, and has a match against a jobber that he easily wins. There was a Bobby Fish vignette that was really good. And then the main event was the Rebellion, which is Caprice Coleman, Rhett Titus, and Kenny King, taking on Dalton Castle and the Boys. Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser were out on commentary, at least until the Beer City Bruiser ran out of beer and was very sad. And Colt Cabana came out with a 6-pack of beer, and Colt Cabana took over on commentary. This was a pretty good match. The Boys are just not very good wrestlers, or at least if they are, they play down any ability that they have. Dalton Castle was easily, next to Cody Rhodes, the most over person in the entire show. He was super over. But the Rebellion got the win. They pinned one of the Boys, and then the Kingdom came out to do a stare down. And this is I guess going to lead to a Rebellion Kingdom feud for the 6-man tag team titles, which I really don't quite understand why they have them, but oh well. And yeah, so it's going to be a heel on heel action, which is fine. It should be a good match. The guys in the Rebellion get shit on for being crappy a lot, but I actually like the Rebellion. I like the gimmick they're doing, because they're so pissed off that they had to do that make wrestling great again gimmick during the election, and they're just rebelling against that. I like it. I like, I think Kenny King and Rhett Titus, while they're kind of boring, I think they're a good tag team. I like Caprice Coleman, so I enjoyed this. I love Dalton Castle, but it was kind of a throwaway show. If you missed it, you didn't miss much. But I really like Ring of Honor. I think anymore, and this was not my week to watch wrestling, but the two shows I think I look most forward to every week are Ring of Honor and NXT. So that was that. On another just kind of semi-Ring of Honor related, I saw a story on Facebook this morning. There's a guy who works for CMLL who has this gimmick, and this is great. He comes out, he has an American flag with Donald Trump's face on it, and he is the most hated guy in all of CMLL. He gets showered in booze. It was incredible. It's a little story CNN did. If you can find it, watch it. It's hysterical. And this guy's like, "Yeah, this is the way to get over. I'm just who's hated more in Mexico right now than Donald Trump? No one." Oh, it was hysterical.
I heard I saw actually not even the article. They actually covered it on a news channel about that character, and it was cool. That's what wrestling is. He's talked about how he's been wrestling for 9 years, and this is the most over and most reactions he ever got. I think that's really cool. You know what, Donald Trump, you knew there was going to be a lot of parody and everything for him. The WWE's too high profile. They would get so buried if they did it. And of course, Vince McMahon's a friend of Trump, so he's not going to just bury his friend on live TV. So
exactly. And his wife works for the administration. And there was that obnoxious picture of their two families together in the Oval Office. Oh,
I don't know why that was obnoxious, but okay.
Just because I can't stand Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. I was saying, I don't like. It was a picture. I don't know. I'm like, the first 8 years of my life, or first 9, 8. Actually, what? The first 13 or 11 years of my life, my life was in a Republican administration. You know what? We survived. We'll survive this one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up in in Reagan, so
yeah. I'm like, we'll survive, and hopefully in 4 years, this won't happen again, or it will happen again. We'll survive that too.
True that.
And I might not be the biggest fan, but we'll be okay.
I love the positive attitude. You have got the New Day power of positivity. I love it.
I guess I got infected this week.
You did. You did. So now though, that positivity may come to a screeching halt.
Yes.
You get to talk about TNA.
I wrote notes on TNA through the show, and you know what I did after the show? I deleted them. I'm just going to say this about TNA. I picked the wrong episode to start on. Because apparently, Jeff Jarrett has taken over booking and everything, and this was still all the storylines under the Dixie Carter regime. So these storylines were the last of the Dixie Carter regime. Because I really wanted to look up why this was the way it was, because I told you how I felt about it then, and I felt like I was being harsh. So I decided to go do some research. So this was, Anthem took over TNA. They pretty much slapped their logo on the screen, and they did the last tapings for Dixie Carter. So this is all Dixie Carter produced and everything, and you understand why TNA was dying. This show was full of miscast wrestlers, horrible storylines, and pretty much women's wrestlers that shouldn't be wrestling anywhere. They got Madison Rayne on the announce team with Pope and Josh Matthews, her boyfriend. So I don't think that had anything to do with it, did it?
Not at all. I'm sure. No.
Okay.
And now Josh Matthews thinks he is the best commentator, play-by-play person in the world. No one can touch him.
And my whole opinion on this, if you're doing something, you should think you're the best at it. And that is not an optimistic view. That is my real-life view. If you're doing something performance-based, where people are paying to hear you, see you, listen to you, you should think you're the best in the world at it. You should go out there and act as if you're the best in the world at it. Otherwise, don't do it. I do this podcast like you're listening to the best podcast in the world. I don't make any money from it or anything, but that's how I talk about it. I do it like my opinion matters. And that's how I think people should go into it. Now, unfortunately for Josh Matthews, his product that he has to call is a flaming piece of shit. And Gordon Soley, Jim Ross, and Mauro Ranallo all combined couldn't make that shit watchable. I watched all 2 hours. That is a shout out to you, Ryan Aaron. I did it for you because 5 minutes into it, I wanted to turn the channel. But I watched it. I made sure I watched all 2 hours. I made sure I looked at the match, and I tried to give it a critique, which I think was fair. And what is fair is that shouldn't have been on TV.
Oh,
that should have been. That is a sad excuse for wrestling. I don't know what happened to my TNA. And as I told my friend, I told my tag team partner here, they said they're going to change the name from TNA. I am all for it because the TNA I fell in love with, the TNA I paid $9.99 a week to see, the TNA I flew to Nashville on my first trip by myself, the TNA that I drove 12 hours to see back and forth without getting a hotel because I love the show that much, died. Because you know what? If you take an animal and you take its heart away, it dies. And that animal had no heart. I don't even think the wrestlers believed what they were saying most of the time. Everybody is a simple, crappy offshoot of someone else. Bobby Lashley is the Black Brock Lesnar. James Storm has been ripoffs of so many WWE characters, I have lost count. Now there's Sanity. It's just bad. And the only shining example of actual wrestling talent and actual good storytelling is the things they're doing with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. It is forward thinking, the transporting to another land, going to fight people from other companies. Conan's a part of the show. That was actually good. I was actually entertained. That lasted about 15 minutes of the show.
Oh man.
So understand, I am going to continue to give TNA a shot. This is not for you, Ryan. This is because Jeff Jarrett's taking back over, and I pray that they just completely revamp the roster and put people in positions they are comfortable in. There was no EC3. EC3 called the product crap. EC3, a TNA employee, says when they were dissing Josh Matthews that no one could make this shit look good. I saw this after I said it, so I'm not trying to copy him, but this is EC3. Literally, his lifeblood is TNA wrestling because he has no shot of ever going back to the WWE. This product is shit. I think Jarrett is doing a Make Impact Wrestling Great Again, and he did an interview. Again, this is after I watched the show. I wish I saw this stuff before I watched the show, so I wouldn't have wasted my time, and I would have just came on and apologized to Ryan because I don't like hard X. They said Jeff Jarrett, one of the people I respect most in the wrestling business, understand outside of the name McMahon, Jarrett carries a cachet in wrestling. And so I listened to what this man that has been in the wrestling business longer than I've been alive has to say, and that what he says is that the last year of Impact Wrestling is a black eye on professional wrestling.
Does he include his Global Force Wrestling invasion angle in that?
He said the last year of TNA or Impact Wrestling is a black eye on the wrestling industry. I'm
not disagreeing with him.
He didn't specifically say Global Force, but it happened in the last year.
Yeah.
He didn't say, hey, Global Force not included. He just said the whole year was crap.
So interesting, before I ask this question, apparently the ratings for this week's episode of TNA were up. How that's possible, I don't know, considering... There
was a part where Josh Barnett... First of all, the Hardys are over. And Josh Barnett, he is an MMA fighter. He's a former heavyweight UFC heavyweight champion, I believe. He came out to challenge Bobby Lashley. And I could see some MMA fans crossing over for that. Or the people did like me. They didn't know or remember when Jeff Jarrett takes over. Next week's episode features Bobby Lashley and Josh Barnett in a heavyweight title match. I already know the result of the match because unfortunately that does make TNA hard to watch. Also, it's shot so many episodes in advance. All this was shot in early January, and we're getting to it now. So I'm going to do whatever I can to avoid spoilers in the future. But since you live in a world of Yahoo and all that stuff that actually reports wrestling, they already reported the result on the first page. It wasn't avoidable. So, but you got Bobby Lashley and Barnett next week. And I believe that is the last actual show of the Dixie Carter regime.
So one more pile of crap to watch before hopefully it gets better.
And I'm going to watch it. Honestly, I can say this. TNA being so bad actually made me kind of go back and appreciate what the WWE does every week. As much as I hate on the WWE at times, it has never been as bad as what I watched.
Now, okay, so now here's the big question. Which is worse? This current TNA product, pre-Jeff Jarrett taking over, or WCW in 2000?
I'm going to say WCW in 2000 was better because at least the production value was good, and it seemed like WCW had a direction. Was it a great direction? Was it a direction I agree with? No. But they had a direction. This TNA just looks like directionless.
So have they filmed the new Jeff Jarrett stuff yet, or is that?
No, that is actually, I guess they're going to do a live episode because the filming is supposed to take place March 2nd through 4th, or 2nd through 5th in Orlando. So they've had a month or almost 2 months to rewrite this crap, and pretty much you make it pop, to use a very bad pun because they're on Pop TV. So I am going to give them, they got 4 episodes. I'm going to give them all, because the first episode with them will probably be March 3rd. Or because it's a Friday night show, right? Or is it a Thursday night show?
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. Whatever show it is, I think it's a Thursday night show. It debuts the first week in March. They're going to get all of March to make me interested. And then I will, unfortunately, if I don't like it, and believe me, it does not take me a lot for me to watch. I watch every show every week. 205 Live, I don't think it's a great show, but I watch it every week. So it doesn't take much. You just have to give me something compelling to watch. So they're going to give 4 episodes. They're going to get next week's, and then the 4 episodes after that to make me interested.
Well, here's what I think they need to do. If they're really serious about really starting over and really rebranding, they need to build a new set. They need to film the Impact Zone differently, make it look different. And they also need to get rid of that 6-sided ring. I know it's quote-unquote different, and it's something Jeff Jarrett brought in, but to be honest, at this point, when TNA tried to fix things, they brought back the 6-sided ring, and it is part of the stench that is TNA, and it needs to go away. So they need to bring back a 4-sided ring. They need to have their new logo. They need to call it, Anthem Impact Wrestling, AIW. It's going to need to be an AIW Championship. Hell, I would strip every one of all the belts and start over, and just give it a whole, just start completely over. Basically, you could even have, as much as I'm not a fan of the, authority figure in-ring promo, you could start the show out with Jeff Jarrett in the ring, say, hey, I know I'm back. It's been a while since I've been here. This place has had problems. We are no longer TNA. We are AIW, Anthem Impact Wrestling, And because of that, we are stripping all of our championships and we are completely starting over. And I say do 2 titles and a tag title. Well, a women's title, a world title, a secondary belt, maybe even call it a TV title, some secondary belt, and a tag title. And get real back to basics and start over. Start with tournaments. You could even say all current champions skip the first round of the tournament, are immediately put into the second round because you were just stripped of your titles, so that you get an extra advantage, and then go from there and have your first month be completely about crowning new champions. And you get rid of that grand championship bullshit. That needs to go away. That's stupid. Don't ever need to see that crap again. I know they really, truly need to start over. I know the X Division was something really special, but it is part of that legacy that they need to get rid of. As great as TNA was at one time, it has become so bad that the bad outweighs the good, and they just need to start over. I mean, Jeff Jarrett did something pretty incredible. He started a promotion from scratch because he knew he will never work for Vince McMahon again. Hell, he won't even get a Hall of Fame induction, I suspect, because he pissed Vince off that much. So he started something from scratch. He built something. He came up with creative ways to get it going, and he just needs to do that again. But he needs to start over. He has a roster of talented wrestlers. The in-ring talent really has never been the problem with TNA. It's always been management and storyline. So they just, salt the earth. Start this bitch over. Please, give us something new.
My thing is, I've always said I have no problem with the 6-sided ring. I do agree with the rebranding. Have the rebranding promo. Talk about what he did with TNA and how he's trying to bring the heart back to the show. I don't say strip everybody of the title. I don't. I think the champion should be the champion. I would get rid of the Grand Championship, personally. I would just have the World title, the X Division title, the Women's title, and the tag belts. That would be it. Or if you decide you're going to do like an Intercontinental belt, I would get rid of the Women's division altogether. Actually, I don't find 2 people I like in the Women's division at all right now. So that's okay. X Division, I would definitely... I looked at I actually wrote down the roster and just thought of ideas to fix it. Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, if they're not going to be a tag team, they should be in the X Division. Because the X Division, the thing is, I feel like they're missing talent right now. They used to have the hottest young wrestlers and workers in the world. They were the WWE alternative. So it looks like they have the 3rd or 4th best talent. It is. I love EC3 on the mic, but he's not that great in the ring. Drew Galloway's great in the ring, but he's not that great on the mic. Bobby Lashley should never talk on the mic again in his life. So I would do, my whole thing is I would take a cue from New Japan. I'm not saying steal the gimmick or anything, but a cue to New Japan. You've got a new company. Basically, the power in the company is up for grabs. I would set up like 3 or 4 factions that a lot of people are involved with, and they're all quests for the power of TNA would be my storyline. I, of course, don't have any problem with the 6-sided ring. I love the 6-sided ring. To me, the 6-sided ring sets TNA up as an alternative of the WWE, which is what it should be. It should be everything that the WWE isn't. And that is what I believe, because most people that like the WWE, most people that like the WWE don't want to see some poor version of the WWE. They want to see something completely different. So I'm like, I say bring in whoever you can from New Japan, Noah, or whatever. You definitely should build more stars. But I would, like I said, I would definitely have people that can work the mic being your forefront. Like I said, but EC3 is definitely high on my list. But I would work with the faction system because each group will be different in some way, and it gives some fans something to get behind. But they need a name. They need a draw. They need a name.
They've got Cody Rhodes coming back.
So, if he is the name, and let's say you put the AIW, as we have coined it, championship on him, and, let him be the driving force as the lead heel of the company, that would work. Since you've signed a deal with Pro Wrestling Noah, I'm doubting that New Japan's going to let you use Bullet Club and that name very much. So they might go by not the club, but reference his time in BC or something like that. But it can be fixed. It just has to be overhauled, and you have to find that heart that you had once again. And the heart was you had young, hungry, talented wrestlers trying to make a name for themselves in the business. You had AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. You had all those people that had nothing and basically destroying themselves every week on TV wasn't a problem because they just wanted to make a name for themselves. They have to find that again.
I will say one last thing on TNA. I think that I understand the concept of the six-sided ring is what makes them different. But if your whole what's going to make you different is a gimmick in your ring, that to me is very, for lack of a better term, shallow. That's very, not shallow, what's the word, superficial. Lucha Underground is about as different from WWE as you can possibly imagine, and they have a four-sided ring. So the aesthetic of the six-sided ring kills me. I don't like it in AAA.
So basically, you don't like it for a superficial reason, just like you just said.
Fair enough. Hey,
I like that TNA is different from the moment you turn on that show. You even look at the ring, and it's different.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think we have done this week's in pro wrestling. Now, real quick before we get on to a sad topic, I did see something on Cage Side Seats this morning. I thought was something we should talk about. They've got
I actually have the page up, so I can actually talk to it intelligently.
Yeah. So we've got the top 20 best pro wrestling matches of January 2017. Now, here's the thing. January 2017 could possibly go down as one of the greatest months in in-ring wrestling history. You have so many ridiculously outstanding matches. One is possibly going to go down in the annals of one of the greatest matches of all time. One of John Cena's greatest matches ever. So this was a hell of a start for the year. This is what they did in chronological order. They've got 20 on here. I don't think we need to go through the entire thing. What jumps out to you on this list?
Well, what jumps out to me, I didn't even think of Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman as a great match, but then they brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that really was a good match, because I started remembering spots from the match, and that was kind of cool. The fact that it's like January 4th, it was pretty much the whole Wrestle Kingdom show on there.
Yeah, because we've got, let's see, so I will run this down real quick. Here are all the matches from Wrestle Kingdom. Kushida taking on Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Shibata taking on Goto for the Never Openweight Championship match title. Naito taking on Tanahashi for the Intercontinental strap. Okada against Kenny Omega for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. All of those from the freaking Wrestle Kingdom, because Wrestle Kingdom was that goddamn good. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to put it. It was ridiculous how good it was. But they also, when I think back to this month, I think there are two matches that stand above everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got Okada and Kenny Omega as one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life. That match was outstanding. And then you have just barely below it, AJ Styles and John Cena from Royal Rumble. Yes, I was not happy that John Cena won the belt just to drop it 2 weeks later. Whatever. But my Lord, if you don't watch that match and come out of it going, that was awesome, there's something wrong with you. It was that freaking good. And then also those are the ones that really stand out to me. Looking at this list, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't watch. I don't watch Shine. I don't watch RPW. That's Rev Pro, I think. Yeah, Rev Pro. CWF.
I'm going to find this Rachel Ellering and Chelsea Green match for free somewhere. I am as most of y'all know, I am a big proponent of women's wrestling just because I don't think there's any reason women can't put on just as good a match as men. So I'm definitely going to find that match.
Yes, I'm very intrigued by that one. And Rachel Ellering, we've seen her on NXT. I would, if you can find that, hook a brother up. Okay.
We'll do.
So I thought this is, I mean, if nothing else, Cage Side Seats, it's one of my favorite wrestling news sites. I probably visit this almost every day. So it's something to talk about. We'll have the link to this in the show notes, so you can check it out there.
The only thing I actually kind of disagreed with was that American Alpha versus the Wyatts match. I didn't think it was anything to write home about. But you're having 20 from a 31-day month. I guess you're gonna disagree with something, but I didn't think that was anything actually.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I am absolutely right there with you. I will say I thought the addition of the Nakamura Bobby Roode match, because that match was surprisingly good.
And they told a very good story. That's a big thing with me.
Yes.
Tell a story with your... And they did.
So that's check that out. If we'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So this is a great point. You can send us a tweet at Around the Ring OK. You can tweet Floyd at Floyd Johnson Jr. And you can tweet me at Oklahoma Lefty. So send us some tweets. Our good friend Steve tweets us from time to time. Really appreciate that. So tell us what you think on this list. And now to the sad news.
All right.
Man, we lost some folks this week in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah, in lieu of the Around the Ring Hall of Fame this week, in a week where it's shocking when you lose so many names in the professional wrestling game, we lost two huge names and one not so big name, but when the time that she spent in wrestling was impactful. I'm going to start with her, and of course you can chime in with any new information that you have or anything you want to add in, Dave. Nicole Bass, she passed away this week at the kind of young age of 52, especially what kind of shape she was known. Her time in wrestling was short but somewhat memorable. In the 80s and 90s, she was a bodybuilder. She made her debut in ECW in 1998. She was 6'2", 240 pounds. So that should tell you something different about that woman. She would make Nia Jax look pretty like a normal human being if she was around. She was there yet less than a year and a half, and she made her debut in the WWE. She was trained, but not classically trained as a wrestler. So you'll see she didn't wrestle in a lot of matches where she took bumps and did stuff like that because, it was kind of like, you're huge, come do this. She was kind of like a woman's version of the Great Khali. She was debuted as Abel's Bodyguard, if anybody remembers that. The feud everybody was waiting on, I remember when she debuted, was Nicole Bass versus China. They never did any work together, but that would have been very cool because it was like someone that was bigger than China. That would have been a good match for women's wrestling. She was in a feud with Deborah Michaels, which culminated with a mixed tag with her, Val Venus versus a Double J and Deborah. I remember Double J and Deborah winning that match. She did a little relationship angle with Val Venus. And then she cost Ivory the women's title, and they were going to do a feud, but she left the WWE. She sued the WWE for being sexually assaulted by the Brooklyn Brawler. The case was dismissed in 2003, like utterly dismissed. Well, let me just tell you, the reason that is hilarious is that the Brooklyn Brawler would ever sexually assault a woman. It has been long rumored that the Brooklyn Brawler and Pat Patterson have been in a 20 to 30 year relationship.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So, a gay man sexually assaulting a woman? Probably is not going to happen. It's a long rumor. It's never been confirmed. It's just long been speculated. Sherry Martell, in her Hall of Fame speech, said she was jealous because Pat Patterson was able to keep a partner longer than she ever was. That partner, everyone believes she referring to, was Steve Lombardi, a.k.a. the Brooklyn Brawler.
Man, see, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Him sexually assaulting a woman kind of doesn't seem like it's going to fly.
Exactly. My most of my memories with Nicole Bass, because she was really, when she was during the Attitude Era, I was really mostly a WCW fan, and that was I don't remember a lot of her stuff in WWE, but I do remember her from the Howard Stern show. Back when we had cable long ago, before we had kids, Emily and I would watch the Howard Stern show on E! Because that show was just stupid and hysterical. And she was on there a number of times. She was a regular. So almost everything I know about her was from seeing her on that show. It's completely sad. Dying at 50-something is way too young. So, my heart's out to her family and friends. And, it was sad news.
Thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of Nicole Bass. Like I said, it would have been great to see her have a longer run in the WWE. She was short, but she was impactful. People definitely remember who she was. She was an opposing figure that I will never forget what she looks like. As long as I live, I could get early onset dementia, and I will not forget what that woman.
No, you will never. She was.
No, she was the most. She was a very unique looking woman.
Yes.
Ivan Koloff and George the Animal Steele. I'm not going to package them together. I'm going to talk about them individually, but these are two legit legends in wrestling. Ivan Koloff, he's Oriole James Perez. He was born in Canada. He was an Irish person born in Canada. He started wrestling at age 18 in 1960. He was 18-year-old in 1960. That's just hard for me to wrap it around. And you might know him as the Russian Bear, but his first matches, he was Red McNulty, an Irishman that wrestled with a patch on his eye. How funny is that?
Oh, my God. That's hysterical.
He won. His Russian Bear character came out in 1967. He won his first world title, which was the IWA International Championship, in 1968. In ways, I like to compare him to current wrestlers. He was the Brock Lesnar of his time because he ended the streak beating Bruno Sammartino for the WWF title. Back in, I think we covered that in 76. I wrote the year down. I don't know where it went. After that, his career was mostly spent as a tag team specialist. He won titles with Ray the Crippler Stevens, and he was also part of the Russians with Crusher Khrushchev, and with his nephew and offshoot character, Nikita Koloff. He was part of the first main event in Smoky Mountain Wrestling history.
Nice. Yeah, so, he beat Bruno in January 18th of 1971. He held the belt for 21 days and dropped it to Pedro Morales in February 8th, 1971, both at house shows in New York.
Yes, he was the heel of that era. He fought everybody. Bob Backlund, Billy Graham when he was a face for a while. Pedro Morales, as you heard, he had a feud with him. The biggest thing I've taken away from this week, though, as far as Ivan Koloff, the wrestler, he's again, one of my first wrestlers. When I thought wrestling was real, he was the evil Russian. But the crazy thing with Ivan Koloff is how good of a person he's remembered as. Every wrestler. Everyone when someone dies, people get on Twitter, Instagram, and they look to take their shots at people that they didn't think were that great. Well, Ivan Koloff is not one of those people. People talked about no matter how big he was, how much respect and kindness he treated people with. Mick Foley went on a long Facebook paragraph about after he met Ivan Koloff and roomed with him, he said, "My goal one day is to treat everyone like Ivan Koloff treats people." That says more to me than anything he will ever do in wrestling.
Oh wow, I did not know that. Yeah, pretty much everything I remember from Ivan Koloff's career was his run with Nikita. And Nikita Koloff in the NWA, they were awesome. I loved Nikita Koloff. His iron sickle, that clothesline looked like it decapitated you, as he would just hook that right under your chin. It was brutal. Yeah, I loved those guys as a tag team. I loved to hate them, and he did such an amazing job at getting Nikita over, because that, I think, was the whole thing there. They were building up Nikita Koloff. They had some really good feuds with the Road Warriors. They had a feud with the Rock and Roll Express. That's what I always think of him in those NWA, the Jim Crockett promotion days in the mid to late 80s. So yeah, that was it was really sad. And I never knew anything about him as a person, so hearing that he was amazing person just makes me like him even more.
Because big thing with me is I do follow quite a few people on Twitter and Facebook. Generally, the only people I don't follow are people that find it necessary to bury the fans all the time. So him, he didn't have a Facebook or Twitter, but everybody had nothing but good things to say about him, just like as the nicest guy that they've ever met. He's a former WWF champion. He had been in wrestling for 28 years from beginning to end. He could have been a dick if he wanted to, and there are a lot of them out there that are dicks, and he wasn't. He never thought the new products was bad. He adjusted, and he respected everybody because he knew what they all did, what he did for a living.
Yeah, I mean, you looking at his Wikipedia page, his list of titles. He held belts in Championship Wrestling from Florida, which was an NWA territory, CWF Georgia Championship Wrestling, International Wrestling Alliance, Maple Leaf Wrestling, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling / Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA Charlotte, WWF, World Wrestling Association. He was inducted into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame class of 2015, and that's another one. That's a Hall of Fame that's hard to get into. He is in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum class of 2011. He was inducted in the Southern Championship Wrestling Hall of Fame in 1999. So yeah, he held the most championships in Crockett / Mid-Atlantic. So he was the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion 4 times, Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions 1 time with Don Kernodle. I totally pronounced that wrong. He was the Mid-Atlantic TV Champion. He was the NWA TV Champion. He was the NWA US Tag Team Champion 2 times, so once with Crusher Khrushchev and once with Dick Murdoch. He was the NWA World 6-Man Tag Champion 2 times with Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. Let's see, he was also an NWA World Tag Team Champion, the Mid-Atlantic version, with Nikita Koloff 1 time. He held that belt 5 times. Nikita Koloff, Crusher Khrushchev, Ray Stevens, Don Kernodle, Manny Fernandez. So yeah, you talk about a just hell of a career. So Godspeed, my friend.
Yep. Rest in peace, Ivan Koloff. Now, the last person I saved because he was the most fascinating of the three deaths this week. George the Animal Steele, a.k.a. William James Myers, or Jim to his friends. 21-year wrestling career, and he was also a 20-year teacher. He would only wrestle on the weekends because wrestling was used to supplement his income. He was a teacher and amateur wrestling coach in the state of Michigan.
Huh.
He went to Michigan State on a football scholarship, got his bachelor's degree from there, and his master's degree from Central Michigan. He was an amateur wrestling coach, and he's a part of the Michigan Coaches Hall of Fame. His first character was called The Student, and because he did not want his students to know who he is, he wrestled under a mask. And he was an uncontrollable person, and he had a manager that did that. Bruno Sammartino was in Detroit and actually discovered him playing a student character and brought him and felt like that they could feud together. So he brought him in and told him pretty much he wanted a new name. So there's many different stories about about how he came up with the name, because there is a person that was coaching at the same time, Michigan Hall of Famer George Steele, and he says that George the Animal Steele said he liked his name and he asked could he use it for a wrestling character like the halftime of a meet. The biography says he was in Pittsburgh. Another wrestler told him he should be Steele because Pittsburgh was the Steel City, and he told him he should use a shortened version of his name, Jim Steele. He didn't like using any part of his name because he wanted to keep the lives separate. So someone said, "Hey, use the name George," and he liked that, so he became George Steele. The animal character was just such an aggressive person that he just relied on brute strength and everything. And of course, he's an amateur wrestling coach, so if he really wanted to be a wrestler, he could. His finishing move was the flying hammerlock, which he would put someone in a hammerlock and lift them up until they tapped out.
Oh, and that move looks sick. I mean, that looks how he didn't break Fool's arms with that. I don't know, because that looks like it would. I mean, hammerlocks hurt.
Yeah.
And then to be picked up and held up by the hammerlock. Oh, I remember seeing that episode, seeing that on TV, and thinking, my God, that has to hurt.
Yeah. Chlorette breath mints accounted for his famous green tongue that I remember from when I was young. I was a fan of him in the 80s, and I only knew him as a face, the crazy character George the Animal Steele. But in the 70s, he was a notorious heel, of course feuding with Bruno Sammartino, and he would eat the turnbuckle, and this is where this came from, and he would use the stuffing in the turnbuckle as a weapon to go against the people that he was at. And I mean, I remember many times his career being referenced in like different rap songs or different TV shows. I remember on the Seinfeld, and this is like a personal memory. I read it this morning, but I do remember it. There was a chick that Seinfeld was dating, and she had man hands, and he said, "I feel like I'm dating George the Animal Steele."
Man hands.
Yeah, and he was a shout out. But early in his career, he was known for having some of the best promos in wrestling. He was actually known for cutting eloquent promos, and the animal character was the animal side of him coming out when the bell rang, almost type like a Festus type thing where the bell rings and I turn into this crazy person. One Vince McMahon Sr., when he was cutting a promo, and he was like, "Man, you're the animal. You sound too smart." And he was like, as a big F you to Vince McMahon Sr., he just started going blah, 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 and in the ring, and Vince McMahon's like, "That's exactly what I want," and that's how he cut promos for the rest of his career.
Oh wow, that's funny. All of my knowledge and experience with George Animal Steele really has to do with his feud he had with Randy Savage over the Intercontinental title. This would have been between WrestleMania. Did they actually wrestle at WrestleMania 2? Or was that between WrestleMania 2 and WrestleMania 3?
It was between 2 and 3. They weren't not 2.
Okay. And that was... Because, wait, Randy was the champion at WrestleMania 2.
After. Was he the champion at 2?
Yeah, I'm 90% sure he was.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Let's see. Randy Savage. I'm looking for Crazy Heel, blah, 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 blah. Saturday Night's Main Event. Macho Man Randy Savage. His most famous feud in '86 against Savage because he had a crush on Miss Elizabeth. Feud was meant to only last a couple of months, the end being Steele disappointed, but provided so popular that it went into 1987. In '88, Steele began... Oh, that's... Okay. So, yeah, let's see. When did...
Yes, WrestleMania 2 saw Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Macho Man Randy Savage defending his title against George the Animal Steele.
Okay, thought so. Thought I remembered that from then.
I just looked up WrestleMania 2.
Good. You know, I see you went about the easy way. I was started going to Macho Man's Wikipedia. Yeah, WrestleMania 2, man, I really liked WrestleMania 2, even though I know it's a shit show. I liked it. Yeah, George the Animal Steele. That's I didn't know he was a teacher. Man, I didn't know much about this guy. But again, rest in peace, man. That's
he
sad.
was a fascinating person, and a lot of newer people might know him as for the cult classic movie Ed Wood, where he played a wrestler turned actor, Tor Johnson.
Ed Wood. I saw that movie opening night, midnight showing. I fell asleep during it because I'd been at work all day and I was exhausted. I will never forget the part though. The scene where they're getting ready to shoot something, and the guy who played the guy who ended up winning the Oscar is like, "Let's shoot this fucker," and it's hilarious. And I will never forget the Oscars that year, Best Supporting Actor. It was 1994 was a hell of a year for film, but you had what's his name from Ed Wood, Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction, and a few other people. And you know how in those award shows they always have the tight shots of people's reaction when someone wins, and when the other guy's name was announced, Samuel L. Jackson said something like "motherfucker." You could see him just cuss like he was pissed. It was hilarious. I mean, I'm sad that he lost and he was pissed, but that was a hard year, man, because how many great freaking movies came out that year? It was ridiculous. Because you had, think about this year, Shawshank Redemption, Clerks, Forrest Gump, which sucks, Pulp Fiction, Ed Wood, the list goes on.
Oh, did you say Forrest Gump, which sucks?
Yes.
Again, from if you might have heard the Peanut Gallery, that is one of me and Crystal's favorite movies ever.
Oh, I'm sorry. No offense.
Okay,
let me.
Movie is freaking amazing. I want to love someone like I always said. I want to love someone like Forrest loved Jenny.
Because it's my Jedi.
Yeah.
My thing with that movie is, okay, so it's really good the first time you watch it. It is so much fun. And I think I've seen it 3 or 4 times. And every subsequent viewing, it got worse and worse and more hokey and corny. And really, Tom Hanks won an Oscar for playing a special needs. At the point, he was literally, and I'm not saying this is a negative way, he was playing a retarded character. And I'm not saying this is using that as calling somebody a retard. I'm saying that's literally what he was playing. But the whole time, I never thought, hey, this isn't Tom Hanks playing a retarded character. Unlike you see the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which has Leonardo DiCaprio, a very young Leo, playing a special needs retarded character. And I truly thought they got a retarded kid in this movie. He was that convincing. I had no idea that, no, this is actually a really gorgeous man who women are going to swoon over for 2 decades. No.
Yes, and if Tom Hanks was playing someone that was what you would call like fully developmentally disabled, that would be great. But he wasn't. He was playing a borderline individual. He would be closer to what people would call simple, and he played that character perfectly.
He did. It was just I never got to the point. I never forgot it was Tom Hanks.
I see, and that's the whole thing. I thought he completely And that might just become from my being a completely diehard Tom Hanks fan. I wasn't at the time. This was one of the movies that just made me just really, really love him. So I'm going, like I say, we're going to disagree because I've seen Forrest Gump, I'd say 50 times.
Oh, wow.
And I truly say that's a low number as far as many times as I've watched that movie from beginning to end, and I love it every time I watch it.
I will say it was shot beautifully. The acting was good. The soundtrack is phenomenal. You talk about getting a slice of American life in music. They put together a phenomenal soundtrack, so I will give them credit for that. The movie to me, every time I saw it, it got hokier and hokier and hokier.
I couldn't even tell you anything about the soundtrack. Couldn't tell you one song from that movie.
Oh man, you're missing out, man. Such good stuff.
And I watched the movie. It's a visual medium.
Oh, they beautifully used music in that, though. So what, real quick, favorite Tom Hanks performance?
Favorite Tom Hanks performance? There was a movie where he played a gangster. I forgot what it was called, and he was just trying to. His son saw someone kill someone, and he spends the whole movie just trying to protect his son from his mob boss. And he ends up just like killing everybody. And I can't remember what the movie's called. It's not Redemption. It's like Redemption. Is it Road to Perdition?
That might be it.
I think it's called Road to Perdition, and it was like my favorite Tom Hanks performance, other than like You Got Mail and Forrest Gump.
Very nice.
I'm a romantic comedy guy, but Road to Perdition, it was like one of those movies I only saw because Tom Hanks was in it, and that's what it was called, 2002 movie. I saw it the night it came out. It had Paul Newman, Jude Law, and Daniel Craig in it, so it had a hoop of actors.
Man, that's a cast.
Yeah, so it was a really good movie. It was just really, really well done. And it was like one of those movies I saw just because Tom Hanks was in it, and I left, and I was like, I need to watch that movie as many times as I can.
Wow, nice.
So I may have seen it 3 times.
I think my favorite, I think his best performance is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is Philadelphia. That movie is heart-wrenching. I love The Burbs. I thought he was hysterical in that. Toy, I really loved. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised by his performance in The Da Vinci Code. Now, the reason why I'm pleasantly surprised is I went into that having read the books. At that point, I'd read everything Dan Brown had written. He had 4 out. 2 of them were about that Robert Langdon character. And in the book, the character is described as a dude who's like 35. And I really pictured Russell Crowe in my head. And so when they announced Tom Hanks, I was like, wait a minute. Tom Hanks couldn't pull off 35 a decade ago. No. But he did a really good job. I liked the visuals in that movie. I liked Angels and Demons. I have not seen Inferno yet. I need to see that. I haven't read that book either, though. So yeah. It's a nice little excursion. We've taken lots of detours today.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to check out another movie he was good in, him and Julia Roberts was in this movie called Larry Crown. I just rewatched it this week, and it's just a really funny movie.
Cool. Now, my favorite romantic comedy that he was in, and I know this is cliche to say, but Sleepless in Seattle.
See, I thought he was better in You Got Mail.
I never saw You Got Mail because I was like, hey, it's Sleepless in Seattle about AOL.
No, it was better.
Really? I will have to check it out. I value your opinion.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it was better.
Now, are those better than When Harry Met Sally?
Nothing's better than When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, as far as romantic comedy goes, I think you're right.
That's my favorite movie. But Dave Chappelle played the black friend in You've Got Mail.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. I will.
Yeah, he was very funny. It was like very much, he was the funny guy, and it was kind of cool.
All right. Well, before we get into our top 5, I was thinking, I have an idea. So if TNA ends up not working out, or I'm sorry, call it by its proper name now, AIW. If that ends up not working out, I thought of something we could do. Lucha Underground is heading to Netflix. We could start watching with Lucha Underground Season 1 and talk about that show.
Yeah, we could probably go episode by episode.
We could.
And just talk about Lucha Underground. I have some friends that are really big fans of it. But like I said, I'm going to give TNA a fair shot.
Good call.
To recover. But yeah, that will definitely. Lucha Underground is probably something I'm going to watch anyway. It being off football season, I have a lot more viewing time. So I'll probably watch that at some point.
I will have more viewing time come the summer break. So once all my shows are done. So yes, maybe that's something we could talk about that over the summer. We could do a Lucha Underground excursion over the summer. But that takes us to our top 5 of this week. So this week's our top 5 are top 5 current tag teams. So these are tag teams that are currently in the business doing the tag team action stuff. Did you have any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, I have 3. They might end up being on your list, but so I'm not going to elaborate too much. I got the Young Bucks, obvious reasons. They're one of the best tag teams in the world right now. Authors of Pain. I think out of any tag team in history, they have caught the heart and soul of the Legion of Doom. And then Breezango, because I'm a big fan of both of those guys as a wrestler, and I think that gimmick kind of saved their careers and kept them from being completely buried. I think they should get more time on TV, but I love that show. I love that team.
All right. I have 4 honorable mentions. The Briscoes, Mark and Jay, The Addiction, TM61, and The Hardys.
Okay.
All right. Who is your number 5?
Gorillas of Destiny.
Oh, nice.
From New Japan Wrestling. They just ran that very hardcore physical style, and they even cussed through their matches. After I watched them in Wrestle Kingdom, I went back and watched a few of their matches, and it's just they're really 2 talented guys, and I love to watch them wrestle.
That match was hysterical at Wrestle Kingdom. The way they were making the commentators blush, that was hysterical. And they're a team that, from all accounts, a year ago sucked, like awful bad, and they have improved a lot in the last year. So yeah, I was impressed with the Wrestle Kingdom match, and I need to go check some more of their stuff out. My number 5 is American Alpha. I think these guys are future superstars as long as WWE doesn't screw it up. That's going to be a common theme. And I think they're awesome. They've had some great feuds, and I look forward to them having an opportunity to have better feuds on SmackDown once other teams come into the picture.
Shout out to Ryan Aaron. I believe that his favorite tag team, that he feels like they're the new age Steiner brothers, which a lot of people feel like that.
I can see that, and they bust out that's the Steiner recliner from time to time. So that's very nice. All right, who's your number 4?
Number 4 is the New Day. I know they're not the champions right now, but I love the whole power of positivity gimmick, and that they like being, they're all true friends that like being with each other. The Raw tag division is not the same without them being champions. I think they should get the belts back fairly soon, just because they made the belts a headline of the show. They made the belts matter. I think other teams can make the belts matter, but just not as much as them. I would like to get them to get back on type of a chasing for the belts. Maybe they come up short, but I'd like to see them start to chase again.
Good call. You will see them later on my list. My number 4 is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. These guys came into NXT to be in the inaugural Dusty Classic tournament, and they had not been a tag team. These were 2 singles wrestlers, and they have gelled so amazingly well as a tag team. It's kind of stupid how good they are, and you watch them in their matches, and it's amazing to think that, no, these guys haven't been tag teaming together for 10 years. They've been tag teaming together for like a year and a half, and they're that freaking good. So, all right, who is your number 3?
Number 3, and this should tell you how much a character change can change someone. I'm going with the Usos. They were literally wouldn't have been on my list 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Wouldn't have been on my list. I actually had a chance to meet them last year at Mania during the Access, and I only went because my niece wanted to go. I had no desire to ever meet these two individuals. They have really taken on to these new characters. Their in-ring style has become a lot more watchable, and it's more natural because I think it's closer to who they are as people.
Good call. I actually forgot to even include them on my list, but I've always enjoyed their in-ring stuff. Character-wise, they're so much better now than they were. So yeah, good call. Good call. My number 3 is The New Day. I love these guys for every reason you said, and I would love to see them back in the title picture. So, who do you have at number 2?
I am going with one of my favorite tag teams of all time, and they're really high right now. They're really changing tag team wrestling. Broken Matt and Brother Nero, a.k.a. the Hardy Boys. They're the only thing watchable on TNA Wrestling, but this whole idea that they're going around chasing all the gold. They went to Mexico this week. They're going to Mid-Atlantic next week. And at the Super Show in January, they're going to ROH. And the Super Show was my backup, but I was able to get really good NXT takeover tickets, so I will be going to that instead of the Super Show. But any chance to see the Hardys, I will generally take up. They're doing a barbecue that Sunday before WrestleMania, and I'm thinking of going to that tailgate.
Man, see, I would, if I was going to Orlando this year for WrestleMania, I would really consider driving over to Lakeland for that Super Show, because I don't know if that's going to be filmed, and if it is filmed, if it's ever going to see the light of day, which sucks, because I really want to see that match.
I have yet to see the Revival wrestle live yet.
There you go, then.
Now, and it's funny, because I met them at WrestleMania 31, and I've been to pretty much any NXT show within 5 hours of here, and every time and I even went to my first takeover, and they haven't been on any of those shows.
Oh man. Well, all right. And that was number 2, correct?
Yes.
All right. My number 2 is the Young Bucks, who are all going to be in that Super Show match. Super Kick Party. These guys have revolutionized modern pro wrestling. They have gotten to the point, they have proven that you can make a really good living outside of WWE. And I think that's fantastic. Plus, they're just fun as hell to watch. And it's also interesting, they do things slightly differently depending on where they are. Like, you watch them in New Japan, and they do things a little bit differently than they do in Ring of Honor. And I like that. They tweak it for their audience. And they do really good stuff in PWG. They're just fantastic. All right, and that brings us to the number 1 pick. Who is your number 1? I think I know.
I feel like this list should have been top 5 tag teams not named the Revival, because everyone knows, if you listen to this show at all, you know that is overwhelmingly me and Dave's favorite tag team. So,
what are you talking about? Breezango's my number 1. No, it's the Revival. Absolutely.
Yeah, they are a throwback to the 80s wrestling with a twist of new wrestling. They carry themselves with confidence. Like when I said earlier today that you should always act as if you're the best in the world at whatever you do, those two embody that.
That is true. There's no doubt that they believe they are the best, and they are so good, and they're so they look they're not the biggest guys in the world, but they look like legitimate tough guys, like they could really, beat you. And no, I love them, and I love their story, the fact that they started out as jobbers. And I miss the fact, I liked their old name, the Mechanics. I actually really liked that name, but that's fine that they changed it. And that, they came up as jobbers. They in a lot of ways they went a very similar path to Blake and Murphy, but unlike Blake and Murphy, they really took off. And I love that one episode of NXT recently. It was within the last couple of months where they came out, their music hit, and when they came out, the Full Sail crowd just sang along to their music, and it was so cool, and it was so unexpected. They are so over, easily best tag team in the world. I would, and if somehow the Hardys could finagle a match against the Revival in their chase for the gold, if the Revival can get the NXT belts back, and that would be so cool. Never going to happen in a billion years, but that would be very cool. Though the Revival better go over, because they're a better tag team at this point than the Hardys, because they're younger and they can do more. Character-wise, the Hardys are obviously better, especially Broken Matt. But yeah, the Revival, great stuff. Do you have any ideas for next week's top 5? I think you had.
I gave you an idea, and I
Yes.
can't remember what it was.
Oh, top 5 180s, wrestlers that you hated or loved, and then did a 180 on. So we'll do that next week.
Yeah, and one of the tag teams on my list will definitely be in my top 180s. It is, and let me tell you, there are wrestlers out there that you just absolutely think were awesome, and you either thought that they were horrible, or you thought they were horrible and thought they were awesome. So I look forward to that list, because honestly, I do actually put some thought into it, and we're going to be more ready to hear your list, Dave, because you like a certain type of person. So I want to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm thinking right now, because I've not put any thought into this before, and I've actually a tag team from our lists is on there. So yeah, it's look forward to this. We'll put that together, and that's going to do it for this week. You had anything else before we get out of here?
No, we're good. I don't think you're dumb. I don't think anyone's dumb for liking Bailey. People have preferences. I just think she's a completely ridiculous character. I just wanted to add that before the day was over.
Fair enough. And I hope you won't hold it against me for not liking Forrest Gump.
I don't hold that against you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we are out of here, folks. Have a great week. We will be back next Sunday. Take care, guys.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And Bo Reed.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Bam! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.